Let's get more now on the North Korean missile test. Anthony Ruggiero is Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defensive Democracy. He's also a specialist on North Korea security. He was Director of the Office of Global Affairs at the Treasury Department. Right now, he's in Woodbridge, Virginia, from where he joins us live. Mr. Ruggiero, we've heard this call for an urgent meeting of the Security Council. What good, if anything, do you think it's likely to do?
Well, it depends on what their purpose of having the meeting. Obviously, they'll condemn the launch that took place Sunday morning, Pyongyang time. The question is are they ready to get tougher with not only North Korea, but the countries around it? The critical question I would have is, are they ready to get tough? I know China is a member of the Security Council, but it's clear that China has already violated last year's coal restriction that was in the resolution. So China is the one that is covering for North Korea. It's allowing North Korea to acquire materials for these programs. And are we going to get tougher either through the UN, or is the US going to get tougher with China?
And actually, on that point, given what you've just outlined, are there any indications that you've seen as to what sort of policy President Trump may pursue when it comes to relations with North Korea and how to deal with it?
Well, I know there's been some press reports that there's a policy review that's ongoing, which I think is good news, because we need to determine what type of policy we want to have, not a policy that we've really had for at least the last 10 years. I think we need to work with our allies and accelerate, like in South Korea, accelerate the deployment of the THAAD ballistic missile defense. As I noted, we need to get tougher with China. We need to increase sanctions on North Korea, increase implementation of those sanctions, and we need to be willing to get tough with North Korea and tell them directly what the consequences of their action will be.
Anthony, I know that you have been at the very heart of government in Washington, D.C. in your former role at the Treasury Department. When North Korea carries out a missile test like this, what are the kind of conversations, what's the feeling that will be among people in D.C. right now?
Sure. I think the first effort is to try and find out what type of missile it is. North Korea has helped out a little bit on that, where they've put forward a statement, they've released some photos, so that'll probably make the job a little bit easier. But then it gets to the thing we're talking about here, the questions we're talking about here. What do you do now? Do we have designations or sanctions that are ready to go? Is that the right way to approach it? How do you approach this, what is a provocation, when you're in the midst of a policy review? So those are the types of things that they'll have to think about. The Japanese Prime Minister just went back to Japan. I know that Trump talked to the Chinese president. How do you work through all these different angles?
Okay, Anthony, thank you very much. Anthony Ruggiero there.